So, Josh is getting married.
Josh is getting married.
So let's talk about Josh.
You just need 3 words? All right, because like the 3 words I can do 3 words.
But if I were to pick 3 words to describe Josh, and I've thought about this.
My dear friend.
Bearded bear hug.
Josh, I'd have to say wool, sweater, vest. And you know I'm gonna say that.
Joshua Roger Gilhorn.
There are many adjectives that describe Josh. Charismatic, I think. Mischievous, perhaps. Garrulous.
The hardest thing is trying to sum up 17 years of knowing someone.
Maybe I should go first.
In particular, his passion. Oh, okay.
I think that as a toddler or as a baby, Josh was probably a bit of a handful.
That doesn't sound like my cousin. Absolutely not.
My favorite picture in my mind, and sadly it's only in mine, is Josh came out in a rage. He looked exactly like Tom. He had this funny hairline, this mass of black hair, and this roaring red face, crying. When he would get hungry, the nurses would tell me that he would open his eyes and rage. He didn't wait a second. They would have to wheel him raging down the corridors, disturbing everybody else who wasn't nursing. And so finally, the first night, they just left him with me, and he slept the whole night on my stomach.
He was a really cute kid. Big curly hair, out like this. It's the blessing of the Kilburn family, thankfully.
What Josh was like as a little kid? I imagine some sort of Tasmanian demon.
You walk around the Kilbourne house and you see these pictures of this bushy-haired child running through fields or chasing dogs.
He's just this ball of energy.
When Josh was 2, he would walk down the stairs 1 foot at a time.
As precocious as ever.
We would both freeze. Just freeze right at the counter.
Here he comes.
Here he comes, and down he would come, this blonde, rosy-cheeked boy with this wet diaper.
I've heard that Josh was very particular.
If we had removed his plate to clean it, he would go into a rage. So we learned pretty quickly we would just leave the dirty old plate right there.
Joshua Kilbourne demanding? I can't imagine that.
Tom and Maureen probably had their hands full for quite a lot of his growing up.
I have a few other cousins on the other side of the family, but Josh for me is he's the closest thing I have to a brother.
Josh and I met when I think I was 3 and he was 2.5. I think from an early age there were, when we were playing guns, it was very clear that, these were the enemies, or this is how the game is gonna go. I mean, Montessori is a very non-competitive environment, but we managed to come up with competition. We managed to create it for ourselves.
I do have some Gabe stories, by the way. I'll be willing to tape those sometime.
I went to high school with Josh. I guess it was my my upper mid year.
It was about 16 years ago. I was a freshman in high school.
I was hanging out in the video room a lot. Taft is very socially stratified, and we didn't really seem to care.
Josh was very gung-ho, very outgoing, wanted to be involved, and if he wanted to be involved, he was going to be involved.
Greg was building a spaceship set.
And I had finally finished construction of this cockpit of the spaceship, and I went off to my afternoon classes and came back, and lo and behold, the entire set had been painted a lovely shade of olive green. Josh decided to try to help, and he thought olive green would be a great color.
I liked him. He was very talkative.
When you talked to him, he was fully engaged in what you were saying.
I think that's one of his greatest gifts, is his ability, his conversational ability.
He asked questions. He asked questions of people, and he engaged people directly. A way of just zeroing in on you and looking you in the eye.
Penetrating your defenses.
Getting people to open up. It's unusual. A lot of people can't do that, but he's really good at it.
We met at Columbia.
We were in graduate school together at the Teachers College.
We went out to eat early on when we were in school together, and he conveyed this sense that he knew that we would always be friends.
It was a pretty tough time for me, struggling to make a living.
Josh was gregarious, friendly, and those qualities stand out in the cold, heartless city.
Our friendship was was something that made us both better people on the whole. You and I need to spend time together. You're my kind of person, and I want you to be in my life.
Josh and I talk about politics a lot.
He was kind of rambling on, I remember, about the Iranian Revolution. I remember thinking, this man knows a lot.
He's true to his principles. He's really my liberal conscience and my mother-in-law.
It comes across to me, you know, I've only spoken with Josh about it, but he seems to have just such a drive and love of his students and of teaching in general.
I've known Josh for 7 years. We were both drafted into service at Ridgefield High School.
Saw him in the hall first time. I remember the first time I saw him. Thought he was a student. It's like, man, the kids are big here.
The Ridgefield Press showed up and interviewed some people, but not me because I ran away. But Josh didn't. And so Josh gave an interview where he said he wanted to do all these things with the students, and then he wanted to teach about the, I don't know what this word is still, I think it's related to hegemonic, but something about the U.S. role in the world. And it was put onto the, to an article we put up in the office. And Joe Kegler said, wow, Mr. Kilborn knows some very big words. And so that's kind of the first time I met Josh.
The conversations just immediately I always enjoyed. It was always things that mattered, and I always liked that. And then going up to the house that first time, seeing that all the people in his life were like this, I just always admired him for that.
I met Josh a few years ago and instantaneously recognized him as a gentleman that I would like to know more. Josh is a tremendously genuine individual. What sums it up to me is Josh is a great appreciator of life, usually involved in the living of life.
The first time I met Josh is when he came into the city and I was living with Mike. I've just figured that we should, you know, watch my favorite movie together, The Big Lebowski, which happened to also be Josh's favorite movie. We called over our friends, Doug, and well, actually, he was the only one available. And the three of us watched the movie together, and it was incredible. And we were on the floor, rolling around laughing.
Sometimes there's a man. He's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there.
I have no qualms about saying that whatsoever. Sometimes there's a man for his time and his place.
Sometimes there's a man.
For my money, for my life, Josh has been that man.
I would. I'd say that Josh abides, yeah.
Watch it, man. There's a beverage here.
Sure.
Josh is a very passionate individual.
Whether it was cooking, teaching, driving.
Have you ever driven with Josh in a car?
He likes driving a lot.
He had learned how to, I think it was double clutch, he called it, or something like that.
He likes to speed up in corners and go as fast as he can in corners.
As he says, really dig into the turn.
Accelerating. Around a turn.
Look, notice how the car didn't tip at all in the corners?
Hey, wasn't that great? Did you feel how the car stuck to the road? You felt something.
Quick gear shift. No, I love being a passenger in the Audi. Yeah, definitely hard shifting in second, around a bend, going uphill. No doubt about it. And Josh can get to anywhere without getting on a highway, which is always impressive.
Back roads are more fun. The highway is sort of straight and planned.
Stop. I've heard about stories about Josh's driving ability. I've heard stories about Josh's cooking ability.